Oh, snap. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. What is the deal? All right, so first things first, party people. First of all, welcome to a new episode of Live from the Lab. Thank you guys for joining me every week and coming to hang out and stuff. It's been amazing. Salute to everybody in the chats. I see Gorilla Strong, Zodiac, Machiavelli, Martin Vasquez, Behike, the unicorn is all about it. Everybody's here and we are ready for a brand new episode. So the first thing I want to ask is I'm using a new mic today. So let me know. What up, Goodfoot? Let me know if the mic sounds right. I'm trying to see. If not, I'll switch back to the normal desk mic. So everybody give me a thumbs up in the chat just so I know that the mic is coming through nice and cool from wherever it is that you're listening. I wanted to use a lapel mic today. You can see more of the background, and I didn't want to, I see a little bit of a plant there. Thank you, Gorilla Strong. I appreciate that. Thank you. There we go. Boom. I have a little post-it back there that says rehearse. Right there. That's perfect, Stutters. It's perfect. Right there, right there, right there. All right, perfect. Goodfoot. Thank you. Thank you, Gorilla Strong. Thank you, everybody. Here we go. A new episode. I am excited about today's episode for many reasons. I'm going to start off by saying, what up, Chris? What up? Welcome to Live at the Lab. New episode. The mic sounds right. If you could sit or not, send it over to me, please. That's what's up, Zodiac. Okay, so check this out. And now where I'm at in my career, in my life, I've become more and more of a music nerd. And what I mean by that is I read books about music, which is what we're going to get into today. Today's subject is qunique's book. Oprah had a book club. Now qunique is going to start a book club. And I hope that I can inspire people to go out and dive into the books of their passions. So anyway, that being said, I love reading books about music. I love watching documentaries or rockumentaries. The most recent documentary I saw, or rockumentary, was the Billy Joel and So It Goes on HBO or on Max. And I gotta say, it was brilliant, man. If you're a music head, if you're a person that just loves music, history, behind the scenes, what made the person write this song or play their guitar that way or chop a beat that way or whatever, that's where I'm at. And so today what I want to talk about is more of my book club stuff. But anyway, what I was getting at with the Billy Joel one was that it was really well produced, and there was a lot about Billy Joel. There's a lot about Billy Joel I just didn't know at all. And this document, it's a two-part series, and I was in awe. By the end of the series, I was just in awe, because I think we all know that Billy Joel is one of those artists that has always been at the top of the food chain in his lane, in his genre. But I got to tell you guys, I had no idea that he was that big. Like, somebody's famous and one of the bigger fish in their swimming pool, but when you watch the series and just watch his career, the best way for me to describe it, I've been saying this a lot. There was a point where I was looking at Dave Grohl, the lead singer of the Foo Fighters, as a guy that caught lightning in a bottle twice, because he was the drummer for Nirvana, and then he started Foo Fighters. And I was like, my God, man, what a career. And then you watch the Billy Joel documentary, and you're like, if Dave Grohl caught lightning in a bottle twice, Billy Joel is just lightning in human form. I never seen so many incredible things happen for somebody's career like it did for him. Obviously, there's the Beatles, there's the Stones, and so on and so forth. But for some reason, I guess we all have parents or whatever, or mainstream radio at the time that would just play his music constantly, or they would throw his videos on MTV and all of that. I got to tell you guys, I didn't know he was that big. It was like astronomically big. One of the things that blew my mind, I want to share, hopefully it's not a spoiler. Anyway, if you're going to see it, watch it, and hopefully you forget what I say. But here's a couple little spoilers for you. One of the things that stood out for me was that, number one, I didn't realize how he was able to maintain making hit songs for decades, which is, to me, it's almost to the level of miraculous or like a mythology. It just didn't make sense to me because, even some of the bigger bands, they have their hits and then they just kind of like coast. And in Billy Joel's case, he kind of like has hits almost on every album that he's put out, which it's like, what? Like that blew my mind. But the other thing that was just massive was he was talking about how his manager and he put together a residency for him to play at Madison Square Garden. Now, if you're from New York like I am, you don't really think of as a Madison Square Garden as a place for residency. It's usually a casino thing out in Vegas. It's not something that I know I wasn't accustomed to in New York. So they pull it off where they do this Billy Joel residency at the Garden. And he makes a statement. He goes, when they locked in the residency, in his mind, he thought, it'll probably last 6 or 7 shows and then I'll be good. Son, it lasted 100 shows. 100 residency shows at the Garden for Billy Joel. My God, man. It's like, what? And that's just the kind of things that this movie unfolds. Obviously, it did some of his personal life, but the way he writes, the way his lyric, me being a lyricist, that was some of the things that I was keying in on, was how he came up with his lyrics. And the way they put this documentary together, they put so much personal information, but it tied into his lyrics. And like, the situation became a hit song. This situation became a hit song. So you're tripping as a writer and a musician. You're just like, this dude could have wrote about Sunday breakfast and made a hit song, and everybody would have been cool. That's just how in tune he was to himself as a musician. It was just brilliant, man. So if you get a chance, check out. I'm gonna do another episode after today's episode where I'm gonna run down some of my favorite documentaries. But that one right now is definitely at the top of the pile. It was very inspirational watching it. I told some of my homies about it, and if you get a chance, check it out. Billy Joel and So It Goes on Max, 2-part series. Much love and salute to Billy Joel, a fellow New Yorker. Much respect. All right, what are we saying here? Yes, Gorilla Strong. Bullseye. It's just. And he does have a boxing background. They talk about that. They pretty much cover everything about him. So I don't want to, you get it. Go check it out if you're a music person, or if you just could appreciate a good story about an artist that has been in everyone's lives. Go check it out, man. It's dope. What's up, Tasman X? Yes. Yeah, I went out there with Lord Finesse and Rock Raider. Salute, rest in peace, Rock Raider. If that's the run you're talking about. If not, the other time I went out there was with the Rocksteady crew. That was also fresh. But thank you, man. Australia in the house. Australia. Martin Vasquez, what's up? Spoke Bob Dylan. He said Bob could write a song. Yes, exactly, Gorilla. You get the point. That's how I was seeing the Billy Joel thing. It was like that. Like, it was like, holy crap. But anyway, so today's episode, what we're going to do today is I want to do this thing called qunique's book club. I'm trying to segue. We spoke about a music documentary, but today what I want to talk about are some of the music books that I've read, and I want to share them with you. Hopefully it'll inspire you to, read some of these books, and maybe some of you have read these books. What up, John Milburn? Salute to you. Everybody, the mics is still sounding good. Give me a thumbs up. I just want to make sure everything's sounding good. 1, 2. It's a new thing, man, with this lapel mic, so... But I think it should be good, right? Everything sounds good? Thank you, Unicorn. Okay. Thank you, Bahike. All right, so here we go. This is the first book of qunique's book club. We're going to go with Grandmaster Flash. Praise for Grandmaster Flash. It's a memoir. It was put together by Grandmaster Flash and David Ritz. This is one of the earlier books I read a few years back, and being obviously coming from a hip-hop background primarily, I knew that I wanted to dive into some of the more iconic, legendary people that had laid the groundwork. And obviously, what people tend to forget is that Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five were, in my opinion, the first commercially successful group that had more of a legacy. Yes, the Sugar Hill Gang also definitely had that success, but if you know anything about your hip-hop history, the Sugar Hill Gang was a group that was put together by the label, and there's a lot of weird behind-the-scenes stories, but I'm not going to really get into the Sugar Hill Gang right now. Respect to them, but reading this was really dope. If you want some very specific hip-hop history, pick this book up. Learning about the Furious Five, learning about the ups and downs of Grandmaster Flash, his challenges, his early beginnings. It was just a really well put together book. I have a lot of respect and a lot of love for Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. And a little cool side note, when I first met Destroy from the which would later on become myself, Destroy, Freestyle, Swell, Jice, we would form the Arsonists with Kinetic and Chang and Crash and everyone. But before that happened, myself and Destroy, when I was in the Nomads, Destroy had his group with Tony Touch. It was Touch and Destroy. And our very first gig together, which I don't even remember how it came about, was the Nomads, Touch and Destroy, and we were opening up, we were put together as a collaboration for the show, and we were opening up for Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. It was one of the most craziest experiences, man. Like, and I always tell that to Destroy, like, it segued us into the Arsonists, and if that isn't one of the most hip-hop introductions for the Arsonists, I don't know what is. It's just one of the craziest things. So that's the first book that I want to talk about, well, that I just talked about. What up, Jason? Salute to you, my brother. What up, what up? La Familia's in the house. There you go, Gorilla Strong. You know the deal. Yes, yes. Yes, you bought that on Thrift Book. It's a good book, man. It's a good book. All right. So, wait, before we even get into that, I have to show the actual first book I ever... This is the first book that I ever read when it came to music books. You're going to surprise you. It's Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers' Scar Tissue. This book was the first music book, like I said, that I read. And what's interesting about this book is that I'm like a casual Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. I don't know a lot of their earlier stuff, and I don't know a lot of their I didn't know a lot of the backstory. So when I read that book, a lot of it was just shocking to me because I didn't know about Anthony Kiedis' struggles. I didn't know about his drug addictions. I didn't know about you know, some of the tragedy that the Red Hot Chili Peppers had faced early in their career, losing their friend and their guitar player, all the different band members. I didn't know that George Clinton produced like their early albums. There's a lot to the band that I had learned from that book, on top of the fact that you're kind of like getting it from the perspective of Anthony Kiedis, and obviously with his addictions, he definitely had a wild ride. And I would strongly suggest, again, if you're a music head, definitely pick up that book. Anthony Kiedis, Scar Tissue is a brilliant book, and it definitely taught me a lot about the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So get yourself that book as well. Mother's Milk is an amazing album. Yeah, I didn't know Gorilla Strong. It's crazy. John Milburn. There's an episode, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm going to break it down for you. So thank you for that question. Oh, yo, Stutters. Did we set up the super chats and the stickers? Okay. So, yo, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on, don't forget we got the super chats and the super stickers up. Thank you for your donations for the show. I greatly appreciate it. They're set up for the donations. That helps the show keep going. It helps with the production and everything else. Qunique Bass. So thank you in advance for that. Okay, John. So what started me in hip hop was just to run through it quick, and then we'll get back into the books. My parents were definitely going through a rough patch, and they decided to send me and my brother to my grandmother's house in the Bronx. As soon as I got there, I got to see something that the rest of the world was kind of getting dribs and drabs of. The movie Wild Style was just hitting theaters. I don't you know what, the timeline is still kind of fuzzy, but it was as soon as I got to my grandmother's house in the Bronx. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. Jason DeGaglia the first. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. And actually, Jason was there. When I got to my grandmother's block, Jason was one of the first. What up, Eon? What's going on? Eon, sorry if I'm, thank you, Gorilla Strong. Thank you for the super chats, lady. Thank you for the donations. Sorry about that. Thank you. Eon, thank you. Eon Smash, welcome. Okay, so Jason was there. So when I got to the Bronx, Jason, myself, another homie named Biko, Kevin, and pretty much the entire Throg's Neck Projects, the Feeling Fresh Break, we were all starting. The vibe was there. And I remember the first time I saw anything unfold, I had came home from school, and Jason and Biko were in front. It was like my grandmother's house was next door to Jason's grandfather's house. And so in between the two houses, Pico and Jason had set up a piece of cardboard, and they were trying to learn how to backspin or whatever have you. And that was kind of like the first time I was seeing it in person, like for real, like in real time. And then overall, the other thing that grabbed me immediately, and I say this in more detail in the episode, Red Alert's show every Friday and Saturday night, and Jason could attest to that. It was like, if you were in New York, Red Alert, for me, I was team Red Alert. And I think more and more towards the crack era when KRS won Red Alert, and I became such a big Red Alert fan that I just became team Red Alert. Thank you, Bananas. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Salute to you. So the combination of my friends already moving forward with breaking and doing graph, and our friend Biko, he had some turntables, and his cousin Renee was writing rhymes, and then Red Alert just kind of like, for me, glued it all together. His show, for me as a lyricist, was educational, if you can understand. It was like I was hearing all of these advanced rappers do their thing. But there's more detail to it if you go and check out the Red Alert episode of Live from the Lab. So I hope that answered your question. Thank you. Thank you for that question. Okay, the next books that I'm going to get into is a combo book. And these are books from two of my good friends. And some of you, thank you. You know what's up, Jason. So these guys are friends of mine, and some of you guys know of my friends, and some of you know of these books. And that is Brian Head Welch, Eyes Wide Open, and Fieldy's Got the Life. These are my homies from Korn. They both released what I would consider, these books are not as musical as they are just more talking about, it's more of a testimonial where they both were in really dark places in their lives during a very high point in their career. And they got so lost in the, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll situation. And then they found their faith and turned their lives around, both of these books and both of these brothers. And I'm very happy for them. Obviously, we're still friends to these days. Fieldy is one of my best friends. Head is one of my good best friends. And they've taken care of, they've been good friends to me for decades. And these books are more like heartfelt stories and testimonials. So if you're into that kind of thing, I would check either one of these books or both books and just hear some incredible challenges and situations and how they overcame them, man. It's very good books, man. So once again, Fieldy with Laura Morton, Got the Life. And this one is Brian Head Welch with Carol Traver with My Eyes, Brian Head Welch with My Eyes Wide Open right there. So those are those two books right there from the brothers from Korn. So thank you for the brothers from Korn. They got some dope books. Bananas. Okay, so of course, John, I got you. Sound in out. My sound is in and out. Is the sound still in and out? Let me know, guys. I'm making sure. Bananas. I linked up with Necro through Ill Bill and Uncle Howie Records. We've all known each other because we're all part of that New York underground scene. So we would all kind of like cross paths at gigs and venues like Wetlands and SOBs and Tramps and other like New Eurekan Poets Cafe. But eventually, when Ill Bill decided to be the executive producer, thank you, Eon, decided to become the executive producer to my first solo album, Vengeance Is Mine, that's when he brought his brother in to produce a couple of tracks, and then I became part of the circle, and the rest is history. But Bill was the one that connected everything when it came to that a little more tighter. So that's the deal with that. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, next book. Now, bear with me on this because I know that some of you might have your reservations about this specific, maybe some of these artists that I'm talking about, you might have your opinion. Remember, I'm not talking about any of these artists personally, what their, how they interact in public, what their hangups are, what their challenges are, Illuminati this, whatever that, whatever have you. I'm just talking about the books, okay? So that's where we're going with this. But wait, let me see. Thinking about artists I'd love to see you with. Lords of Brooklyn. Gorilla Strong, hold that thought. I got to speak to you about that real quick. So this next book I want to talk about is Jay-Z's Decoded. Jay-Z's Decoded. I'm trying to see if there was a co-author with this. I don't see any names. I'm sure there definitely is a decoded, a co-author with this. The layout of the book is beautiful. It just says Jay-Z. Let's see. All right. Anyway, the reason why I brought this book up, the Jay-Z Decoded, first of all, being from Brooklyn, there's just this thing where you just feel kind of connected to your peers and the people that come from the same borough, whether it's Jay-Z, Ill Bill, Nems, the list just goes on and on. Necro, Sabak. I could go on forever. You get my point. You understand. Why I like this book so much is because it went into lyrics and intentions. And so what I loved about Jay-Z's book was that after reading a book like Scar Tissue by Anthony Kiedis, and I think I kind of like skimmed through Slash's book, which I got to go back and read. But what I noticed was a lot of these books deal with challenges and dark moments. And so the way I'm wired, I can't really stare at things like that for too long. It has an effect on me. So I needed something to kind of balance it out. And that was Jay-Z's Decoded. And why it balanced it out was because this book is a little more on the positive side. It's on the more encouraging side of things. And so I really enjoyed that about this book. It was really motivational in a strange way. On top of the fact that they were analyzing his songs, his lyrics. And as a lyricist, like I said about Billy Joel earlier, I like to know how people process and what their perspectives are when they go into their lyrics specifically. So that was why this book was pretty special to me. So if you could get past all whatever the internet is saying about some of these artists, I think you would really enjoy this book. He's one of the biggest artists of our generation, and I definitely am a fan of his work. And this was a good book. I definitely recommend. I'm recommending all of these books. So that right there, Jay-Z's Decoded, really good book. Where we at? 14 years of rap. Oh, first, Gorilla Strong. So Gorilla, a couple of things about. So I've been friends with ADM, Adam, and Caves for decades. We come from this kind of like the same area in Brooklyn. And a couple of funny tidbits. There's a story that I tell on episode, I think 2 or 3, where I'm talking about KRS-One. And I talk about this, one of his concerts that I attended that my mother made a fake ID for me for. A little tidbit of information was the person that threw the event was Caves from Lords of Brooklyn. He was the promoter that was booking KRS-One at that venue. So that was already a mind-blowing fact for me. And then years later, when I did the Vans Warped Tour, Caves, actually the Lords of Brooklyn, are the first people responsible for putting me on stage with a live band. They brought me on stage and allowed me to perform with the Lords of Brooklyn at the Vans Warped Tour in 2004, I think, 2003, 2004. And then I recorded a couple of songs with them. And one of the things I'm just gonna speak about, I can't play it. Recently, Adam reached out to me and asked me to sing Black Sabbath by the song Black Sabbath. And it was for a project for Busta Rhymes. The song is done. I'm not going to get into too much detail because I don't know what Busta is going to do with the song, but I covered all of Ozzy's parts of that song. It's kind of sick that I'm happy to share this with you guys because you guys are here to hear this. So I did. I sang Ozzy's parts. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What? Thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. Thank you. I really appreciate the love and the support. But that happened, man. So that's the deal with that. So, okay. So, let's get back into the books, okay? What's up, Andrea? What's up, Alyssa? Okay, the next book. This is a good one, man. For all my New York hardcore heads, this next book is My Riot, Agnostic Front's Grits, Guts, and Glory, Roger Moret with John Wiederhorn. For those that know about Agnostic Front or any New York hardcore band, this book right here blew my mind. It was everything about the life of Roger Moret, who is the front man for Agnostic Front, obviously one of the most iconic New York hardcore bands on the planet. It talks about his challenges, being coming from coming from Cuba, coming to New York, becoming part of the New York hardcore scene. I'm definitely skimming through what I read, but I didn't skim this book. I read it, but I'm just breezing through the synopsis of the book. This book is brilliant. I had no idea about his backstory. He's also the older brother of Freddie Madball from the band Madball. There's pictures of Freddie here when he was a kid. If you're into New York hardcore, you want to hear some dope New York hardcore story or punk rock story, this is the book right here. And salute to Agnostic Front. My homie Mike DeJean just produced their new album that's about to drop, and there's a single out right now. I love Agnostic Front. I love the entire New York hardcore scene, or just the hardcore scene in general. I find that there's a parallel universe between the hardcore scene and the New York or the underground hip hop scene, not just the New York hip hop scene, but the underground hip hop scene and the hardcore scene just feel, sometimes to me, it feels like a parallel universe. So reading this book was definitely dope. It's a lot of crazy stuff in here. So check this one out. My Riot, Agnostic Front, Grit, Guts, and Glory, Roger Moret. Dope book, man. What do we got here? Yes, they are dope. Yes, Gorilla Strong is going in on that. I'm sorry about that, Martin. It seems like everybody's sound is doing good, but please keep on letting me know, because I'm using a new form of audio today, just so you can see my figures behind me. You see KRS, Eric B. and Rakim, and Biz Marquee over there. No, but I could switch up the mic. If this mic isn't working, please let me know, okay? Thank you. Okay, next. This is a three-parter right here. Oh, okay. So some years ago, this book came out. It's called Rakim Told Me. It's by Brian Coleman. And this book is special, man, because what he did was he took a bunch of hip-hop albums, iconic albums. Let me see if there's a list here so I could read off. This thing reads like an encyclopedia. Yes, so he goes Schoolie D, Run DMC, so Schoolie D's Saturday Night album, Run DMC's Raising Hell, Two Live Crew As Nasty As They Wanna Be, MC Light, Light as a Rock, Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full, Biz Marquee, Going Off, De La Soul, 3 Feet High and Rising, Slick Rick, The Great Adventures of Slick Rick, Special Ed, Youngest in Charge, Ultramagnetic MCs, Critical Beatdown, Jungle Brothers, Straight Out the Jungle, Mantronics, the album, Ice-T, Power, Big Daddy Kane, Long Live the Kane, Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, The DOC, No One Can Do It Better, Marley Marl, In Control Volume 1, Too Short, Life Is Too Short, EPMD, Strictly Business, Dana Dane with Fame, and Boogie Down Productions, Criminal Minded. This book, when I first read it, was amazing. And then what Brian did to sweeten the deal, he ended up remixing the book and making it incredible. Like, he added more facts, more albums to it. If you are a hip hop head, the history in this book is just insane. It's a lot of behind, but it has to do strictly with the music and what went on behind the scenes for these albums from Eric B. and Rakim. Like I said, Bismarck, Boogie Down Productions, the Ghetto Boys, Onyx is in here. It goes on and on and on. So if you really love your hip hop music, especially from that golden era, it's this book, and then he did a volume 2. So there's he turned it from Rakim Told Me to Check the Technique, and Check the Technique volumes 1 and 2. And they're like encyclopedia size, but it's amazing. If you want to know some real deep liner notes, and know what goes behind the scenes of these classic, iconic albums, pick up these books. Amazing to have in your collection if you're a hip hop head. Really, really dope stuff. Really, really good. So let me see. What do we got here? Yes, Tasman. Follow Leader is just amazing. Amazing. Mir Depp, what's going on? What's going on? Salute to you. Yes, Gorilla Strong. Dope, 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 dope. Okay, so let's get into the next book. It's Gold School. To me, I like what LL Cool J called it, which he calls it classic hip hop, because we got classic rock. So LL Cool J, I think he just had that insight where he knew, as well as a lot of us knew, that calling anything old school, sometimes what it does is kind of takes away from the legacy, because when you put the word old, especially in hip hop, in front of anything, it kind of like loses its shine. And so LL Cool J, with his Rock the Bells radio and what he's doing, his whole movement, he had the good sense to just rename everything classic. And to me, that's the better choice, and he gets a lot of love for that. That was a dope move. And so that's what I consider these albums, classic hip hop. Okay, the next book. This book was amazing. I'm a fan of this man. I've watched him closely, especially during my Stillwell, early on Stillwell, just needing somebody to learn from afar. I don't know him, I never met him, but it was one of those things that I watched his movement, I paid attention to everything that he was doing, and that is Dave Grohl, The Storyteller. This book, let me see if there's a co-writer. I don't see anyone in the, sometimes they don't put the credits in for the co-writer, man. But Dave Grohl, The Storyteller. This book was brilliant. If you're a Nirvana, Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl fan, you will love this book. I think the only part of this book that punches you in the gut is when he starts talking about Taylor Hawkins, may he rest in peace, because when this book came out, Taylor was still alive, and by the time I finished, he put the book out, and maybe a few months after the fact, Taylor had passed away. And so when you get to the chapter of Taylor, it's like, woof, you go through it, but it's definitely like, it feels like a punch in the stomach, because the way he describes Taylor is like it was his best friend. And so that's the only part of the book where you're like, oof, this is a rough chapter. But overall, like watching somebody be so passionate about their craft, about music, and then listening to all the behind the scenes of Nirvana and Foo Fighter and the ups and downs of being in a band, and everything that goes into being in a band early on and then watching it to become successful. And his story is it's outstanding. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you already know a lot of his story, but this is a great book too, man. So if you get a chance, check out Dave Grohl, The Storyteller, man. Good book. Very, very good book, man. Very, very good book. I'd like to pause for a second. Let me just see if, okay, cool. I like to pause for a second because let me get a little sip here out of the old Spidey cup there. There we go. Oh, Taylor Hawkins' son. If you got to see the when they did the tribute concert for Taylor Hawkins and his son got on, me and my son were crying, man. It was beautiful. It was actually, that's the only way to describe it. It was actually easily the most beautiful part of the entire tribute. Easily. It was, my God. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube or stay on YouTube and go search, I think his name is Shane Hawkins tribute. He just kills it. He was amazing. What I wanted to do really quick, yes, there goes my hero. Yes. I wanted to share with you, there was an upgrade done to the shop on qunique.com. So we're gonna get back into the rest of the books, but I was excited because we got this all sorted and figured out, and I just wanted to, because from time to time people ask me about merch, and so we're gonna go check out this merch stuff. This is the new qunique merch shop on the website, qunique.com. On the top, you see The Vengeance is Mine. We only have a handful of those left, maybe less than a handful. The Vengeance is Mine 20th Anniversary Challenge coin. That was to celebrate for people that were fans of the album. Pick up a coin. It's got all the titles of the songs on the coin, and it's got some of the artwork and whatever have you. It was just to commemorate the album celebrating 20 years. Next to it, you got an arsonist pin, then The Vengeance is Mine, the original CD, and then the Mechanic CD. Those are the only CDs that are left. And then you scroll down, and it gets into the qunique Designer Rhymes collection, which is available at Viper Records. And you see there's the Diamond in the Rough shirts. Those are all my lyrics to Diamond in the Rough in the shape of a diamond on a t-shirt, on a tank top, on a hoodie, then a hardcover journal book and a tote bag. Then over here, there's the Chestnut Checkers that came off the Royal Blood album. And that's the Chestnut Checkers hoodie. And there it is again, t-shirt, tank top, hoodie. And then there's the journal and the tote bag, the eco-friendly tote bag. There's the Green Grass hoodie and your boy Q going to the Handsome Boy Modeling School. Thank you. Filmed in front of a live studio audience. And then there's the Green Grass t-shirt, tank top, hoodie, journal, and tote bag. And then there's the thank you, Bananas, that's what's up. There's the Brooklyn Bronx Brooklyn hoodie, but just the Brooklyn verse. There's t-shirt, tank top, hoodie, journal, and tote bag. And then you scroll a little further, and then it shows you qunique's merch on Amazon. A lot of people weren't aware of this. There's the classic qunique logo on a t-shirt, long sleeve t-shirt, baseball jersey, hoodie, zip up hoodie. Then there's a collab shirt with myself and Zero One, who did the qunique piece, tank top, hoodie, long sleeve, zip up hoodie, baseball. Then there's the Nihilate collab shirt, where he did a qunique logo, shirt, tank top, hoodie. Now you could see and then there's some arsonist stuff. There's an arsonist shirt, tank top, hoodie, zip up, all of that. Now you could see all the qunique merch, all in the shop. Everything is simple and easy for you to get to and just be able to show your love and support. I know some of you have asked me about merch, and there you go. The whole shop has been upgraded so you could get to see and purchase and show your support for qunique. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate that. Let's get back to your regularly scheduled program. Thank you. So, let me get rid of that. Okay, the next book. Nah, I ain't laughing at you. If you sober, no. Salute to you, Bananas. That's what's up. I salute you. No, that's wrong. I salute you. Stay strong. That's what's up. All jokes aside, man. All jokes aside. Thank you, Gorilla Strong. I appreciate that. Okay, next. This next book, I'm a Wu-Tang fan, and I'm sure a lot of you are. This book right here, From the Streets of Shaolin, it's the Wu-Tang Saga, written by S.H. Fernando Jr. It's crazy, thick book, pictures in the middle, this book had me turning pages, it just had me glued. I'm a Wu-Tang fan. There's been a lot of books about Wu-Tang through the years, and I've read a lot of them, and a lot of them are good. This book, this dude, S.H. Fernando, what makes him interesting is that he has been following Wu-Tang for years, maybe since they began. And so his detail to Wu-Tang is just incredible, man. Like the behind the scenes stuff is just so detailed. And couple of tidbits, a couple of things that just stood out to me. Number one, all right, so if you know the Jizz's album, Liquid Swords, right? There's a song, Life of a Drug, that bam 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 bam. You know that song, right? Restaurants on the stakeout to order the food to take out. You know that song on the Liquids? So before that song comes on, there's a skit where they're like, Mr. Stark's on line one, Mr. Stark, and RZA picks up the phone and he's talking, but there's a dude that he's about to do a deal with. That dude that's speaking with an accent is the author of this book. So he has a very interesting connection to Wu-Tang, man. So there's a lot of detail and facts in this book. And another cool tidbit was they had mentioned a studio that they started out in earlier. And I forgot the page. I should have marked the page. But the name of the owner of the studio was Anthony Moore. I actually started recording my demos in the same, so when I read it, my head almost exploded, because back then a lot of us were making the trek to Jamaica, Queens, because there was a lot of studios out in Jamaica, Queens at the time, in Hillside, Queens. And Anthony Moore, was the first person that I booked studio sessions with out in Jamaica, Queens, and so did the Wu-Tang Clan. So that was like trippy, because there might have been a moment where we crossed paths, but they just didn't have it wasn't Wu-Tang yet like the way we knew Wu-Tang. And so that was just mind-blowing to me, man. So if you're a Wu-Tang head and you really love Wu-Tang, you want to know some detail, I would pick up this book. This book is a brilliant book. From the Streets of Shaolin, the Wu-Tang Saga by S.H. Fernando, right there. Boom. I think Shorty Shitstain is mentioned. What's up, Double Yo? Salute to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, the Prince Rakeem joint. The Prince Rakeem joint, for reals. Okay, the next book. Here we go. We going back into hardcore music, New York hardcore. I've said this a lot of times about, you got how many? Oh, no, I ain't get to my book. Jason, I'm gonna talk about that after all of this, but that's a dope question. That's a dope question. When it comes to New York hardcore, this band is actually my favorite New York hardcore band. It's like, I have an order. They are number one for me. This band right here, and that is Sick of It All. Sick of It All is my favorite New York hardcore band. This is their book, The Blood and the Sweat, the story of Sick of It All and the Collar Brothers. It's written by Lou Collar, Pete Collar, and Howie Abrams. Howie Abrams is a good friend of mine. This book was brilliant. It's done in an interview style. So Howie shoots questions at them and they just answer honestly, and it's really raw, and they just shoot from the hip. They're speaking their truth. It's pretty much unfiltered. And again, it's definitely more music based, and in the story of Sick of It All, and from their humble beginnings to you know, some of the things that they had to go through as the band Sick of It All, being a New York hardcore band. Not at the time that they came up, there wasn't a lot of venues giving light to hardcore bands. So a lot of the times, the people that would book them in abandoned buildings or where squatters were. The stories are crazy, dude. This one in the Agnostic Front book, the stories are just, when it comes to what they had to do to pave the way for a lot of bands is just insane, man. So if you're a fan of hardcore music and just love that raw, gritty vibe and that do-it-yourself passion and strength, this, along with the Agnostic Front book, these are books that you just want to just dive into, man. You learn a lot too, man, because, excuse me for a second. I love the Cro-Mags. I love the Cro-Mags. I love the Cro-Mags, Mr. Jason, salute to you, baby. What's going on, brother? But I love the Cro-Mags. I love Agnostic Front. I love Madball. I love the Dropkick Murphys. You know, Crown of Thorns, Terror. I mean, I could go on and on for days. I've been fortunate that a lot of my friends are in the hardcore scene. So I've been to many black and blue balls and events of that nature. And the whole thing has just been, you know, being a fly on the wall and watching these bands do what they do, Scarhead, all of these bands are just, for me, they're just extremely important. But this book, for a band that I love and I love their music, it's their playlist is constantly in my headphones, my AirPods when I'm at the gym. So if you get a chance and you love Sick of It All, definitely dive into this book. The stories are everything from hilarious to just crazy. Great book. The Blood and the Sweat, the story of Sick of It All. That's a good book right there. Boom. All right, what do we got? Oh, all right, now we get into two of my favorite books, man. DMS, all day, all day. Okay. This book here was another one that I couldn't put down. This person changed, in my opinion, is the first person to change the entire system when it came to lyricism. And I'm talking about the God MC. I'm talking about Rakim. This book is called Sweat the Technique, Revelations on Creativity from the Lyrical Genius, Rakim. I want to see if there's a co-writer here. I want to give credit. Sometimes they don't throw the co-writer on the cover for some reason. Okay, here we go. Bakari, Kitwana, and Rakim together put this book together. This book blew my mind for so many reasons. I knew a lot about Rakim, obviously. Anybody that's a lyricist in hip hop is just going to marvel at a guy like this. And you hear a lot of the things being shared. It's almost like when, you know, you hear stories of natives talking about how stories get passed on from generation to generation. That's how stories of Rakim got passed on early on before books were made or documentaries or interviews. And so many things that I kind of already knew, but this book solidified. And there's some of the stories I just want to share. I want to start with the fact that Rakim, when he wrote and released Eric B. for President, along with Check Out My Melody, he was 16 to 17 years old. Now, that to me is alien level special. It just doesn't make sense. Today, we've heard these songs a million times, but if you just sit back, put the song on, and then put in your mind that a 16-year-old kid wrote the lyrics to not only those two songs, but by the time he was 17, 18 years old, Paid in Full, the album was done with songs like Paid in Full. It's like, what? Wait, what? It doesn't make sense, you know? In a good way. It's again, like the Billy Joel stuff that I said early on. For Rakim, it's just like this supernatural being it lands on the planet and does something that just nobody else ever did before. He changed rhyme structure because he's a saxophone player and decided to add how a saxophone goes in between the notes. He felt that the lyrics could do the same thing. As a 16-year-old, then all right, so that story already blew my mind. Now imagine this, he's 17 years old. At that time, 16, 17, nobody really knew him yet. Eric B. discovers him. You got to read how it happens. And then, through a twist of fate, he ends up at Marley Marl Studio. Now, for those that don't know, Marley Marl was the first, in my opinion, big producer of the crack era. One of the most important, if not the most important producer of that time. His hits are in, what he did for Biz, for Kane, for Shan, for Roxanne, come on. Like, Marley Marl's legacy is insane. So now, let me get to the point. Rakim shows up to Marley Marl Studio. Marley Marl already had Kane, Biz, all of this stuff happen or unfold. I might have some of my timeline mixed up. I knew he had Shan already moving, Roxanne already moving. So he was already a hit maker. Rakim at that time was a virtual nobody. Shows up to Marley Marl Studio. They put the beat on for Eric B. for president. He says his rhyme. Again, 16 years old. Says it in that tone. I came through the door. I said it kind of laid back, right? So Marley Marl is looking at him and he's like, come on, kid, we need some more energy. Come on, come on, come on. And Rakim, he wouldn't budge. MC Shan tried to talk him into, come on, man, give him some more energy. He wouldn't budge. At the age of 16, Rakim understood that that was him and that was how the song, he's telling Marley Marl this to his face. This is the way I do it. He already knew. The way I look at it, man, if it was me, I would have been like, sure, Marley, whatever you say. I'd have been screaming the damn verse like I was an Onyx or an MOP. This dude, Rakim, already had the know-how. Didn't even have a record out yet. He already knew. Even that, the tone changed everything. And he was 16, 17 years old. One more fact about this book. Two more. I got to do two more facts about this book. There's something that he shares where he says when the good songs come out, he called it God consciousness. What that meant was that you become this antenna because the lyrics, you can't, when you're formulating lyrics, you can't grab them off of a shelf. You can't mold them with your hands. It comes from somewhere unseen. So the way Rakim put it into words, and Quincy Jones kind of said this too years and years ago, was that it's God consciousness. You become this antenna for God to place these thoughts in your brain. And I felt him on that. I thought that was a powerful thing to say. Quincy Jones said it. He said it, the way he said it was, when the good song comes out in the studio, God is in the control room or God is in the room. I felt them both on that. Whatever your description of God is, that's your business, that's your perspective. I'm not here to preach the gospel, but I just felt them on that because something, when you're creating something, it's weird because it comes from an unseen place and then it becomes whatever you shape it to be. And lastly, Rakim gets to a point where he says in the book, he started writing rhymes backwards with the ending first leading into the beginning. When I read that, bro, my head almost exploded. It didn't even make sense to me. I was trying to understand it. He just got to that point. So if you get a chance, check out this book, Sweat the Technique, Rakim. If you're a hip hop head, a Rakim fan, this book is amazing. Great book. All right, where we at? Where we at? Sup, Andrea? Detroit throwers, what's going on? My favorite Onyx song is All We Got Is Us. I love that song. And the other one is the one with the bass line. I can't think of it. It's like it's on the second album. Boom, 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 and it's a vocal. I don't remember the name of the song. You got to help me on that. Yes, Jason. Yes. Yo, Jay, you know what? I got to perform there twice before they closed down. I'll have to see if Ill Bill, because it was myself, Ill Bill, Slane, I think Block McLeod, members of Nonfiction, but we did a show there. It was nuts. It was a brilliant show. I don't know who has footage, but I have some photos of that night. It was a special night. I got to get into that, Gorilla Strong. Thank you for that. Thank you, Jason. All right. I'm coming to the final book of my book club, part 1. I left this book for last because for those that know me, when it comes to, no, Rakim is not human. It doesn't make sense. And the next person I'm about to speak about, I put him on the same level, but for different reasons. This lyricist, this hip hopper, this MC is my number one. He has been the most influential. Sure, I have my list. Rakim is on there, Kane is on there, G-Rap is on there, Nas is on there, Wu-Tang is on there. The list goes on and on. Pharoah Monch, I can name names forever. So don't think I'm leaving anybody out. I'm not. But this person has influenced me heavily, from my stage presence to how I process rap, everything about it. What's up, Stutters? What's up? Do I like Vanilla Ice? Why you gotta hit me with that? You know there's a no drama policy with qunique. I don't hate him. I got to meet him at one of the Korn events, a Korn show. He was a nice guy. Let's just leave it at that. He was cool, he was pleasant, respectful, cool guy. I have no hate for anybody like that. To me, the music that he chose to do, that was his preference. I have a policy where I live by a code where I just don't hate on other artists like that, especially in public. I just don't. Everybody has the right to choose how they want to put their music out, how they want to be seen, how they want to be heard. It's not up to me. I'm not a dictator in music. I do my music my way, and other people do their music their way, and I respect that. And that's the most I'll say about him. You know what I mean? So, shout out to Paris. What's up, W? Thank you once again. No, I used to tour with Korn. I've been on the road with Korn for about 2 decades, because myself and Fieldy we would write for Stillwell. We would write for his solo album, and you know, all of those guys are some of my best friends for about 20 years now. And so he came to one of the shows, and you know, I already spoke about Necro Detroit. I already spoke about him earlier. Necro is the dude, man. He's the king of his lane, one of the best hip-hop producers on the planet. But I spoke about him earlier. Okay, getting to this final book of my book club list this time around, and there will be more parts of this as I continue to read books. This rapper, this MC, this hip-hop head, like I said, is one of the most influential MCs in my career. From everything from stage to song to everything about him, mission statement, and that is KRS-One. This book is called My Brother's Name is Kenny, written by his brother, Kenny Parker, and Rose Daniels. This book is nuts. This book, if you are a KRS-One fan, if you're a KRS-One fan, you want to read this book. Kenny just talks about their lives, which again, just like speaking about Sick of It All and Roger Moret from Agnostic Front, KRS-One and Kenny's life was an insane roller coaster ride. And he talks about KRS-One from when he started to what he became, when Kenny became his DJ. The book, there's a few others that I didn't say this earlier, but the book made me cry like 3 times. The stories are fucking powerful, man. This is a powerful book because KRS-One, you know, if you're a fan, you know, he speaks about on a lot of his songs how he was homeless, but when you read about it, like the detail and how KRS-One found himself, it was almost like KRS was a sleeper cell for hip hop. And then one day something clicked and he woke up and became KRS-One. It was just that magical. And what's funny about the way Kenny describes it is that even Kenny doubted him in the beginning. Nobody believed him. Nobody believed KRS-One for a second. You know, he was telling his brother, I'm going to put out a record and I'm doing this. And he was looking at his brother like, what? And then he becomes who arguably some of us consider one of the Mount Rushmore members of hip hop for some of us. For me, he easily is. And so the stories are insane. They are insane. And then you just read about the success. The picture in the front is crazy because that's KRS right there. There's Kenny Parker. It's like, that's them as kids. And, you know, they talk about how they would hear hip hop when they moved to the Bronx because they were both born in Brooklyn and then they moved to the Bronx as kids. And they would hear hip hop from their building going on. I'm guessing, you know, when Cold Crush and them was doing their thing, these guys were fortunate enough to catch a lot of the outdoor park jams from their window and from the playground and stuff of that nature. And just, my God, man, this book was just for the true KRS fan that you want to know the details of his life and Kenny Parker's life. You grab this book, man. This book is a page turner for the KRS-One fan, man. It was just pure insanity. It breaks down albums. It breaks down moments in time with Boogie Down Productions and KRS-One's career. It's just a brilliant book. I did not expect it to punch me in the stomach the way it did. So if you're a KRS-One fan, Kenny Parker fan, and Kenny does a dope podcast here on YouTube as well. If you could backtrack and check some of his older episodes, they're brilliant. He talks about a lot of Boogie Down production stories and him being a DJ for KRS-One. They're amazing. So shout out to Kenny Parker, and please, if you're a hip hop head, KRS-One, Kenny Parker fan, pick up this book. It's a brilliant book, man. So what's up, B man? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Salute to you. Yes, what's up? What's up, Jeff, Jersey City? What's going on, baby? Yes, I got KRS-One. He signed that Source magazine that's behind me up on the side up there, and he signed the Criminal Minded album, and I've gotten to see him so many times in my career. I speak about him on one of my live feeds if you get a chance, and he's definitely one of those artists that inspired me greatly, and that book is just truly amazing, man. That's what's up. No, that's cool, thank you. But that is my book club. This is the first time I've done the book club episode. This is strictly about music and these books that definitely carry a lot of information, a lot of brilliant stories. So if you're a music fan, definitely check out the list of books that I ran through on this episode. And the other reason why I did it is, and you know, you guys, some of you that come here and watch these live feeds, you guys know that I like to encourage you. If you have a passion, for me, it's music and entertainment. If you have a passion, whether it's carpentry or acting or poetry or law or whatever have you, whatever it is, find a book, find a documentary that's within that lane and watch how the inspiration, because you get to hear these different perspectives. Some of the stuff you could relate to, and some of the stuff is just educational. And that's why I read these books or watch these documentaries. Sometimes, like when I like earlier I spoke about the Billy Joel documentary, and so it goes, which is on Max. And there are moments in his career that even though I never attained the success he attained, there's a lot of relatable stuff because we're in the same business, the music business. And there's a lot of it that you're like, oh yeah, I remember going through that too. And then you trip out. You're like, man, Billy Joel went through what I went through. It's just wild, you know? So I encourage you that whatever your passion is, go out there and look for the documentaries. Some of them are on YouTube. Some of them are on that Masterclass app that you could, not that they have documentaries, but they have people that are talking about various passions and careers and things of that nature. Go to your Barnes & Noble, go to Amazon or whatever, and look for those books of those people that are in your lane and learn something or relate to something that they have to say. And that's why I'm sharing the qunique book club. So that's the deal with that, man. Where are we at? Okay. Yes, W, yes, definitely, man. You know, thank you, Gorilla Strong. I really, really appreciate it. Raps and Rips, what's up? Raps and Riffs, what's going on? Yo, man, salute to you, Raps and Riffs. Definitely, man. Gorilla Strong, when is my book coming out? And I know Jason asked. You know, initially I was working on a book with somebody, and for whatever reason, I held everything. I held the presses. I just wasn't ready yet to complete a book about my life story. I'm not there yet. And then my good friend, and some of you know him, a genius MC, Wordsworth, he suggested that I do a book about, like what I mentioned about the Jay-Z's Decoded book, a book about lyrics and songs and what went into certain lyrics and songs. So I think for my first book, I might do a part one, more of a catalog-based book talking about Vengeance is Mine, Between Heaven and Hell, Black Coffee, and so on and so forth, and just going over certain lyrics and my perspectives and what went into certain songs, certain albums, and things of that nature. So that might be the first book that I might get into before I get into the whole story of my life thing. But thank you guys for encouraging me and motivating me to pick up on that. Yes, punching words for real. What up, T-Beats? Salute to you. Thank you, Gorilla Strong. I truly appreciate that. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. Yes, Mr. Jason, and that's my point. Maybe the next episode or the next episode after that, I'm gonna get into the documentaries and rockumentaries that I have seen, and you know, and it's a range because it goes from the Beastie Boys to Duran Duran to Oasis to the Bee Gees and so on and so forth. But we'll get into that on another episode. And so thank you for that. Thank you all. Thank you all for this amazing episode. I had a blast going over these books and these stories, man. It's just been something that I've been wanting to share for a while. it's my passion, and obviously it's a passion for a lot of y'all that are in the chat, music and hip hop and different genres of music. But remember what I said, if there's a passion, man, dive into the information. There's plenty of documentaries and books and things of that nature that have to do with your passions. And so do that, man. Thank you, Gorilla Strong. That is dope. I've actually been recently doing a deep dive on jazz musicians, specifically the jazz greats, Thelonious Monk, and Thelonious Monk was in my playlist a lot this week, and damn it, I hate when I forget names, but Coltrane and I'm gonna mess it up, man. I probably should have written it down, but you know, just like you, I'm like looking around at different things. I did it obviously after watching Billy Joel's documentary. I did a deep dive on his music and just tripped out on how many damn hits the dude had, and you know, whatever have you. Thank you, Gorilla Strong. You are the man. Thank you. Thank you very much. I truly appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So here's the deal. Y'all know what time it is. I'm about to get in the booth. Now, the booth stuff, Rocksteady. Who asked about Rocksteady? Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? Yes, Raps and Riffs. They definitely did. When we do a Rocksteady episode, I'm waiting for Crazy Legs to make his way back to LA, because I want to have him as a guest, because for those that tuned in, yes, salute to Virginia, by the way. Thank you, Gorilla Strong. Virginia's on the map. Mad Skills, shout out to Mad Skills, the whole Missy Elliott, Timberland, Massive, everybody that goes on there. You know the deal. Virginia has an incredible scene. I've been fortunate to get out there and do a couple of shows in my career, so thank you for that, Gorilla Strong. Thank you. Jason, I'm waiting for Crazy Legs just to come into my neighborhood, because you know, obviously, for those that know, Crazy Legs has been like a big brother. He's been a mentor to me for decades upon decades, and so I'd rather have him on the show and talk Rocksteady, and he's already agreed to it. So when that show is about to happen, I'll let you guys know. We had Rhetmatic on the show last week. He did a live set, and with the conversation was amazing. And if you didn't get to see that episode, go check it out. It was episode, where are we at? What episode is this? 12? So it was episode 11, I think. But go check it out. It's in the title. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get into the booth. Thank you for another amazing episode of Live from the Lab. Let me make sure. Yep. So let me get into the booth. Remember, tune in every Wednesday, 6 p.m. on the West, 9 p.m. on the East. Thank you, Gorilla Strong. Machiavelli, we're definitely going to talk about that. Thank you, W. Thank you, everybody that joined in Mere Depth. Wiro Waro, thank you from Chile. Who else we got here? Oh, I gotta do, oh man, I don't believe I just did that. Okay, here we go, let me get up there. Who else we got? Mr. Jason, Gorilla Strong, Jason DeGaglia, my brother, Beats Rhymes, my man Jersey City Jeff, W, Gorilla Strong, I said, Flexible Crunchy, Eon Smash, T Beats, Andrea, of course. I'm missing somebody. There was somebody else. The Machiavelli, there he goes. Detroit Throwers, John Milburn. Alyssa's in the house. Let me see. Let me make sure I get everybody. Bananas. Tasman X. Goodfoot. Yes, I think I got everybody. But we're going to go into the booth. So you want to see me spit a little something? I got a little surprise for you. We're going to dig into the Vengeance is Mine bag to this evening. So stay tuned. We're about to go into the booth. Now, this part of the show might get cut off because of all the copyrights. I don't know why it's my own song, but go figure. But this song might get cut off when it gets reposted up on. But for those of you that are here, let's go to the booth. And we are good. See you in the booth. Let's go. 1, 2. Oh, snap. What up, y'all? Qunique. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, we in the booth today. We're gonna dig into the Vengeance is Mine bag. I love doing this song live. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for coming here for Live on the Lab, new episode. Much love to all of y'all. Thank you for the super chats, the super stickers, all of that. Thank you for the love and support. My name is Qunique. I'll see you next week, same time, same channel. For those that ride with me, don't forget Fridays in the Car with Q on Instagram Live. Thank you and good night. Peace.